Nation in Conversation, taking you on a journey through the South African countryside. Proudly sponsored by Monsanto, Nedbank and Senves, in association with AFGRI, Hinterland and NWK.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Nation in Conversation. We are on our journey through South Africa, exploring all the sights and sounds that make this such a popular tourist destination. Along the way, we investigate key agricultural industries and we follow these products from farm gate to kitchen table. Today, we look at a product that plays an integral role in the global food system. Not only is it the #1 non-grain food globally, but it is the only unrefined starch within the starch market. In South Africa, production sits at a staggering 2.18 million tons. The good old potato. This is what you can look forward to in today's program.
In Homegrown, we hit the N3 toll route, and we discover that this is not simply a road connecting city slickers to the coast. This route has a whole lot more to offer. We discover that quite a lot of potatoes are grown in this region, and we stop by some producers to give their insights into the industry. In Context, Chris Burgess from Landbou Weekblad joins us in studio to share his thoughts on the potato industry. And we visit a plant that manufactures millions of potato bags annually. In Dialogue, we visit Potato South Africa for more information on the state of the industry. The Nation in Conversation team set out on the N3 toll route. Not only is this a breathtakingly beautiful route to take, but there is a huge variety of attractions and activities that make this an unforgettable experience. It is certainly worthwhile to interrupt the long road to the coast to visit some of these destinations. Through the N3 gateway, everything to see and to do on this route is offered in unique itineraries. It doesn't matter what you are interested in, you will find something to enjoy. This makes it really easy to plan an exciting journey ahead of time, or to simply take an impromptu detour to a hidden gem. As far as you travel along this route, farms are visible from the road. Even the challenging Joburg to Sea mountain bike race takes place in this region. The race stretches over more than a week, and the biggest portion of the route is on farms adjacent to the N3 toll route. On this route between Heidelberg and Sadara, there is no shortage of charms. Apart from the awe-inspiring scenery, there are many road stalls, coffee shops, restaurants, art galleries and art shops. There are also many historical and heritage destinations, a long list of adventure activities and of course many accommodation options. The N3 is economically one of the most important routes in South Africa. It connects the harbour in Durban with the inland from the east. For agriculture and related industries, it is a lifeline that makes the transport of food and agricultural products to markets possible. Furthermore, it is important for the import of agricultural equipment and working stock that arrive by ship in Durban or Richards Bay. In this rural community, agriculture plays a critical role. A large part of South Africa's potatoes, maize and red meat is produced here. One thing is clear, the more people work together, the easier the task becomes. One clear example of this is a partnership between the N3 toll concession and the local agricultural communities. We visited Neil Tolmi, CEO of the N3 toll concession, to find out why a good road infrastructure is so vital, as well as the significance of good relationships with producers in their area of operation.
The N3 toll road stretches over a distance of approximately 450 kilometers. This is mainly in rural areas, so we pass through many farms and farmlands. So it's critical that we have a good relationship with the farmers. In fact, we know all the farmers by name. In enhancing that relationship, we often enter into contracts with the farmers for mowing the lawn or mowing the grass along the road reserve. It is quite critical, especially in the burning season, when we involve the farmers in burning fire breaks in terms of protecting the road user, as well as the adjoining farms.
It is clear that agriculture has an enormous impact on the economy and local communities. There are, however, also many factors that have an impact on the agricultural sector. We paid a visit to potato producer Ernst Eisel in Marquard, also chairman of Potato South Africa.
I'm a very passionate potato farmer. I like growing potatoes. One of the reasons why I like growing potatoes is that we can employ a lot of people, and by in that way making a difference in a lot of people's lives. We harvest potatoes for approximately 6 to 7 months of the year, for which we employ 140 people for this operation. And then, because we want to make a difference in the lives of other people, we plant all our potatoes by hand, which create another lot of job opportunities for another 3 months of the year. Like in the rest of the world, when it comes to commercial potato producers, we lost a lot of our producers in the last 25 years. 25 years ago, we had more than 2,000 producers. Now we have less than 600 producers. But this is 600 producers are producing twice the amount of potatoes that they did on the same amount of land that they use. And I think that is something that is all over the world. Potato farmers are getting less, but they are getting bigger and bigger. The reason for the increase in production is mainly new cultivars that we are working with that make a big difference. More of the potatoes that's been grown under irrigation. And I think the potato farmers has become cleverer and cleverer when it comes to the production of potatoes. If we compare potato production in South Africa to the rest of the world, I think our producers are amongst the best producers in the world. In South Africa, there are potatoes that's potato farmers that are harvesting 70 tons and more per hectare. If you compare it to the rest of Africa, north of us, they sometimes get 7 to 8 tons, which is a big difference. But we also compare to the best countries in Europe when it comes to average yields in our country. I think the potato industry is a real asset for this country in terms of food security, in terms of job creation. I think it's really an asset for us. I don't think we in the agricultural sector is always valued as much as we should be.
Did you know there are more than 1,000 different types of potato and even more recipes for potato dishes? The humble potato is also used to make vodka.
Like many other industries, the potato industry is also facing its own challenges. With the recent weather patterns, for example, potatoes grew in longer shapes than they normally do. This, for example, enforced the downgrading of first-grade potatoes to third grade, even though there was actually nothing wrong with the potatoes. After the break, Chris Burgess from Landbou Weekblad joins me in studio to discuss the volatility of the market and further investigate this industry. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Nation in Conversation. Today, focusing on the potato industry with some interesting insights into this popular produce. It affects us all, so please join the conversation on Facebook and Twitter. With me is Chris Burgess from Landbou Weekblad. Welcome, Chris.
Hi.
With all the rain the country's been getting, the potato producers must be smiling.
Well, we're always thankful for rain, But, you know, with farming, you can always have too much rain or too little rain. So the problem at the moment is that the Eastern Free State, whose potatoes should be coming onto the market at the moment, the farmers can't get into the lands to harvest. So there's a shortage, so you can expect the price to go up. And, you know, if this rainy weather gets followed by high temperatures, you might find the potatoes rotting in the land. So there's always a problem.
So the potato price can be quite volatile then?
Well, I mean, it's potato prices get decided by supply and demand, and the main price-forming mechanism is the fresh produce markets, with Joburg, of course, being the biggest. So, I mean, if you look at, say, 2015, we had an oversupply of potatoes. We produced, I think it was 2.5 million tons, and then in 2016, we had with a drought, we had it drop down to 2.1 million, I think it was. Where the price dropped again. So you know, it's up and down. You look at between 2007 and 2009 with the credit crunch, high oil price, very sort of weak economy. Farmers couldn't get the price. There was a huge drop in hectarage. So yes, very volatile market.
Before we get back to Chris, let's take you on another journey to explore this industry further.
One thing that we have seen in this series is the significant multiplier effect of the agricultural industry. When we talk employment, we do not only refer to the people on the farm. Take into account packaging, processing, transport, retail, and more. All these steps in the value chain are a source of employment and opportunities to thousands and thousands of people. The potato industry is no exception. A staggering 180 million potato bags hit the road to consumers annually. We got back onto the N3 destination Ladysmith. Here we stopped over at Sackforce. They manufacture almost half of the potato bags for the market.
We're in the printing business and we specialize in the manufacture of potato bags for the agricultural sector.
The potatoes that end up on the consumer table adds up to about 180 million bags per year. We manufacture about 50% of that total, which is in the region of 85 to 90 million bags. We manufacture the complete product from printing, converting to the end product that is supplied to our customers. We have about 200, in excess of 200 brands that we print for customers, and they market different areas from street hawkers to supermarkets and fresh produce markets. The potato or the industry in South Africa is very unique. Potatoes gets handled several times from it leaves the farm to when it gets to the consumer. So for that reason, it is very important that we use the best possible paper that is available on the market. Our paper gets imported. We have to comply with minimum standards, and yeah, we cannot compromise on the strength of the paper.
Infrastructure is very important to our business. We import paper, therefore it's important that the clearing and forwarding from the harbour to our factory is done in a structured way. And then it's also important to distribute the loads from our factory right over the country. So if infrastructure concerning roads is not good, then we battle as well.
Yeah, we employ about 65 to 70 staff members in our company. They are definitely one of the most important assets that we have, as they are an extension to our business when it comes to the quality that we end up producing. About 80% of our workforce consists out of female staff members. Yeah, we have found that they are very process-driven and that they are very precise in the work that they do.
Did you know? Potatoes are cultivated in all provinces in South Africa and provide work to some 50,000 employees.
That was certainly interesting. Let's continue our discussion, Chris. The potato industry is quite huge in the EU. So are we, like with our poultry industry, also under pressure from imports?
Yes, we have had a big problem with imported French fries. So the EU produces a big crop and they can store it for a year, even if it is quite expensive. So we've had a safeguard measure last year on imports, and we now have got we're looking at anti-dumping measures specifically against Belgium and the Netherlands. And the reason for that is those mutual sanctions that the EU and Russia have, and Russia is quite a big consumer of EU potatoes.
So what can the producers do to survive these cycles?
Well, I think quality is non-negotiable. And the industry has done actually quite a lot with the inspection service Procon, which ensures that only best quality potatoes reach the market. And then you've got farmer brands, so buyers actually know what quality they're buying, and then also supplying right through the year. You know, I mean, the Sunveld on the west coast is one of the areas that can supply right through the year because they've got the cool Benguela current coming past, and then mechanization and greater efficiencies with cultivars.
Thank you, Chris. After the break, we visit Potatoes SA to further unpack this industry. We'll be back shortly.
Welcome back to Nation in Conversation. The good old potato still remains an important staple food in our country, healthy, nutritious and versatile. To further unpack the challenges and opportunities in this industry, we paid a visit to Potatoes SA. They are an industry association consisting of a network of participating role players and individuals with a vision to build a viable potato industry in South Africa. Let's find out more.
As far as the role of Potato South Africa is concerned, we need to remember that prior to 1997 we had control boards in South Africa. These control boards were abolished in 1997 and Potato South Africa was established. As far as the functions of Potato South Africa is concerned, it pertains to research and development, market development and information services. And over time we have expanded those services to include generic product promotion together with market development, and Potato South Africa is also involved in transformation that pertains to the development of successful black potato producers in South Africa. So when we look at the role of the potato industry in the South African economy, I think it's important to take cognizance of the fact that this is the 5th largest agricultural subsector in terms of the value of agricultural production when taking the horticultural and field crop sectors. Now that amounts to more or less 7 billion rands. If we go to the secondary sector, this industry is worth 20 to 21 billion rands. And that is inclusive of our fresh produce markets and inclusive of our processing sector. As far as the processing sector is concerned, I think it's important that we note that this sector has nearly doubled over the last 10 to 15 years. So it makes a very important part of the potato industry in South Africa. All of this together obviously has significant multiplier effects, job creation in rural areas, and it plays a very important role in terms of the sustainability of rural areas in this country. When we look at how the potato industry is situated currently in South Africa, I think this is a growing industry. The average compounded annual growth rate over the last 15 years is 2.9%, which is really good. And what is more important is that consumption has been able to keep up with this production increase that we see in South Africa. As far as the constraints and challenges are concerned, your cost price squeeze is one of the main challenges that our farmers are experiencing. That basically relates to a higher increase in input cost than the increase in our real prices for our product. We also look at some policy challenges that we have as far as trade is concerned, where we have imported products being dumped in South Africa, and we were able, together with other industry stakeholders, to actually get an anti-dumping duty instated against this unfair competition from especially the European Union. When we look at some of our other challenges, we need to be cognizant that infrastructure plays a very important role. in moving potatoes around the country. They travel many kilometers to get to our fresh produce markets or our DCs and our retailers. So infrastructure is important, and the maintenance of that infrastructure is important for potato farmers in this country. When we look at transformation in the potato industry in South Africa, Potato South Africa plays quite a significant role. What we firstly need to remember is that for every rand levy that producers in this country pays, at least 20% must go towards transformation. So in essence, every potato producing farmer in this country is making a significant contribution to the transformation of the potato industry in South Africa. One of our core businesses is our enterprise development core business, and the aim of that core business is to establish black commercial potato producers in South Africa. So when we look at our enterprise development program in Potato South Africa, it basically involves a number of different support programs. One of that entails the provision of seed in year one, which is 100% of the seed required, and then we scale it down over a 4-year period until the farmer can buy his own seed. We also provide mentorship services, training, as well as industry exposure. We also look at partnerships with other industry stakeholders to ensure that these farmers get the necessary support throughout the value chain. Another program in which Potato South Africa is involved is its Small Grower Development Program. This program basically involves supporting communities in partnership with the various different departments of agriculture, especially in KwaZulu-Natal and in the Eastern Cape. The program basically involves supporting communities farming with less than 1 hectare of potatoes, supporting in terms of training, in terms of knowledge, so that they can produce their own potatoes. Now, I think we need to be positive about the agricultural sector because this is the cornerstone of the economy of this country. It supplies food, which contributes to food security. It earns foreign exchange. It's extremely important in terms of job creation in this country. However, I think it's very important that we recognize the importance of relationships between different stakeholders in the industry. That's as far as the value chain is concerned, but also with government. When it comes to government objectives, it's very important that we have a mutual understanding of what the outcomes should be and find mutual solutions to the challenge that we face. That will ensure that the potential of this industry will be unlocked even further.
Well, there's always more to any subject than you think. Back to you, Rosie.
Thank you, Theo, for those insights into the potato industry. Next week, we move on to another staple food, maize, as we take you on a journey through the maize triangle with a special focus on Nampo Harvest Day, not to be missed. Until then, remember to exercise your rights as a consumer. It affects us all. Goodbye.
Nation in Conversation, taking you on a journey through the South African countryside. Proudly sponsored by Monsanto, Nedbank and Senves, in association with Afgri, Hinterland and NWK.